Good day everyone. Welcome again to another episode of Tax Training, and today I will discuss to you when to sign waiver of the statute of limitation or prescription. But before that, I would like to say thank you sa ating mga subscriber na umabot na po tayo ng 3,100 plus. So maraming salamat at sana wag kayo po magsawa na subaybayan po yung ating mga videos sa tax training. Our aim here is for you to have a better tax compliance. I will discuss to you when to sign a waiver of the statute of limitation. Ibig sabihin ng when, kailan. No? So, kailan ba tayo dapat mag-sign ng waiver of the statute of limitation? But before that, ano ba itong waiver of statute of limitations at ano yung mga guidelines na dapat po nating gawin? No? So, sinasabi po dito sa Revenue Memorandum Circular Number 141-2019 dated December 20, 2019, ito yung kung ano ba yung mga salient points, no, na dapat para i-execute natin po yung waiver of the defense of prescription. So, ano po yung sinasabi dito? The waiver is a unilateral and voluntary undertaking which shall take legal effect and be binding on the taxpayer immediately upon his execution thereof. So, ibig sabihin po, itong waiver, hindi ito mandatory, hindi ito talagang nire-require. No? Voluntary lang po ito na ina-undertake o sinasign ng taxpayer. Malalaman natin kung sa anong purpose at bakit. No? Number 2, the waiver need not specify the type of taxes to be assessed nor the amount thereof. No? Ang waiver daw, hindi na kailangan na lagyan pa ng taxes, kung anong klase, or the amount, hindi na po kailangan. Number 3, it is no longer required that the delegation of authority to a representative be in writing and notarized. Hindi na rin kailangan na yung representative. Bakit? Kasi yung representative, kung corporation ka, sila yung mga proper person or authorized by the Articles of Incorporation or the Board of Director to sign in behalf of the corporation. So, hindi na kailangan ng writing, no, na i-authorize sila at ipanotarize. No? Number 4, the taxpayer cannot seek to invalidate his waiver by contesting the authority of his own representative. So, kasi karamihan po sa mga kaso na nakarating na sa korte, pagdating po doon, yung taxpayer na gumawa ng kanyang waiver, ay siya na rin mismo ang nagpo-protest or nag-contest ng form o ng kung ano man yung mga technicalities po doon sa waiver. No? Kaya nagkaroon tayo ng ganitong clarification. Number 5, it is the duty of the taxpayer to submit his waiver to the officials listed in the said RMO prior to the expiration of the period to assess or to collect as the case may be. Okay, so nandito na po tayo. Kaya yung question natin kanina na when to sign a waiver of the statute of prescription, sinagot na po nitong number 5. At ano po yung sabi niya? Permahan mo ang waiver prior, ibig sabihin ng prior, bago pa mag-expire ang period to assess or to collect as the case may be. Yung sinasabi natin na regularly nagpiprescribe po ang karapatan ng gobyerno sa pag-collect ng tax natin o yung sa pag-investigate para makita nila kung may deficiency taxes natin, nagtatapos yan sa loob ng 3 taon pagkatapos po na i-file natin yung ating income tax return. Okay? So, pag nag-sign ka ng waiver, ang ibig lang sabihin, winave mo yung karapatan mo na mag-expire na yung 3-year period at pinapahintulutan mo ang gobyerno, ang examiner na i-continue pa yung investigation sa iyo. At pag may nakita na deficiency during the audit or investigation, babayaran mo yun. No? You are bound to pay for any deficiency. Kasi nga, hindi na-prescribe yung right ng gobyerno para kolektahin pa yun sa iyo. Dahil sign ka ng waiver of the statute of limitations. Kasi kung hindi ka nag-sign, wala nang karapatan ng gobyerno. Wala na silang right na kolektahin pa yung deficiency taxes mo. No? Number 6, in addition to the previously authorized officials, the RDO or group supervisors as designated in the letter of authority or memorandum of assignment can accept the waiver. So, sino po yung pwede mag-accept ng waiver? The RDO, the group supervisor, na nandoon po nakalagay sa letter of authority. No? Kasi pag under audit tayo, yung source document po na nagbigay ng pahintulot para ma-audit tayo is the letter of authority. Na-issue po yan na, in favor of the group supervisor at saka sa examiner kung sino mag-i-examine, at ang signatory po dyan ay ang regional director. No? Number 7, the date of acceptance by the BIR officer is no longer required to be indicated for the waiver's validity. So yung date of acceptance, kung kailan ba siya inaccept ng BIR officer, hindi na po required para valid yung ating waiver. No? Number 8, the taxpayer shall have the duty to retain a copy of the submitted waiver. Yes, kasi po, pagka ang isang examiner ay nag-audit ng docket ng case, nandoon lahat yung file documents, hindi po yan magtatagal ang mga dockets na yun, yung mga dokumento na yan sa examiner. Pupunta po yan sa assessment para reviewin, and then pupunta po yan from the assessment, pupunta yan sa collection division para kolektahin. So, ang sabi po dito, ang taxpayer magre-retain siya ng kopya ng waiver na sinainan niya at binigay niya sa BIR para naman siya may kopya, kasi yung ibang mga docket, wala na yan sa kanya, nasa examiner na. Number 9, notarization of the waiver is not a requirement for its validity. Kaya nga, ito sinabi na talaga. Kasi pagdating na po sa korte, sasabihin ng taxpayer yung technicalities ng waiver na walang visa kasi hindi notarized, no? So magbibigay sila ng dahilan na hindi na po pwede yung waiver kasi hindi na notarized. So wala nang right ang gobyerno na examinin, tapos na yung kaso. Number 10, the taxpayer is charged with the burden of ensuring that his waiver is validly executed when submitted to the BIR. Thus, the taxpayer must ensure that his waiver. So, ano sabi dito sa clarification na to, sa memorandum na to? Ang taxpayer ngayon, since siya naman yung mabibenepisyohan dito, o kaya siya naman yung nag-request ng waiver, dahil nagpa-extend pa siya ng kanyang audit or investigation, hindi niya tinapos, so siya ang may burden na dapat tama yung kanyang waiver na ginawa, no? Anong ensure niya? Is the waiver is executed before the expiration of the period to assess or to collect. So dapat alam ng taxpayer na pag-sign pa lang niya ng waiver, hindi pa prescribe, hindi pa tapos yung right ng government to collect or to audit, no? So indicates the expiry date of the extended period. So halimbawa magpe-prescribe yung kaso mo dahil nag 3 years na siya. Halimbawa magpe-prescribe siya ng April 15, 2019. So dapat nakalagay po yung date naman ng waiver doon sa waiver mismo kung kailan mag-i-expire yung right ng mag-i-expire yung waiver mismo na inalaw mo yung government to continue with the audit. So, kung kailan ang validity ng waiver mo, dapat naka-indicate yan. No? Indicates the type of tax for waiver of the prescriptive period to collect. So, nakalagay din daw yung type of tax. No? It is signed by the authorized representative. No? So, authorized representative ang nag-sign doon sa waiver. Hindi yung kung sino-sino lang para hindi ma-question yung validity po ng waiver. And the number 11, there is no strict format for the waiver. Hindi po prescribe yung format na ganito talaga. No? The taxpayer may utilize any form with no effect on its validity. Wala pong effect sa validity. Any form will do as long as the information required ay nandoon. At ano po yung information required sa waiver? Nakalagay yung date hanggang kailan ang visa ng waiver, hanggang kailan siya ma-extend, at nakalagay din yung period na under investigation kung anong taxable year. No? So, any form, wala pong prescribed na form para maging valid po yung waiver. No? So, hindi pwedeng dahilan ng taxpayer na yung form ng waiver is mali. kaya walang visa ang waiver, kaya yung aming kaso is prescribed na hindi na pwedeng i-audit. No? So, hindi pwedeng mangyari yung gano'n. Given the sparse requirements of RMO number 14-16, an illustration of its key element is provided herein as Annex A. So, ano po yung Annex A? Tingnan po natin. So, Annex A, ito po yung waiver of the defense of prescription under the statute of limitations of the National Internal Revenue Code. Ito po yung Annex A. So, ito po yung format ng waiver na assignan ng taxpayer para hindi po mag-prescribe o mawalan ng visa yung letter authority. No? So, I, yung pangalan ng taxpayer of kung saan yung address niya, request for approval by Commissioner of Internal Revenue for more time to submit the documents required in connection with the investigation or investigation, evaluation, collection, enforcement of my tax liabilities for the year ending. No? So, ito po yung format na sabi nga kanina, hindi naman to mandatory, but this is the format more or less. Merong ganito. No? So, ano yun? Yung pangalan ng nag-execute ng waiver, and then yung year kung saan siya under investigation, and then ano yung reason niya kung bakit magpa-extend siya ng prescription period at gagawa siya ng waiver. Kasi ang sabi dito, nagre-request siya sa BIR for more time to submit the documents required para doon sa investigation. Ang nagiging karanasan ko po dito sa waiver, kailan po nag-execute ng waiver ang taxpayer? Nung ako ay nag-audit pa, karamihan po ang nangyayari, hindi sila nakapag-submit ng dokumento during the first month na nagbigay ka sa kanila ng notices, hanggang sa matapos na lang yung time na binigay sa kanila na allowance, hindi pa rin sila nakapag-submit. So, walang magawa ngayon ang examiner, tatapusin niya yung kaso na based on best evidence obtainable. So, ang ginagawa ng taxpayer para ma-prolong din yung time para makapag-submit pa sila ng dokumento, gumagawa sila ngayon ng waiver of the defense of prescription para hindi magmamadali ang examiner na ipasubay na sila o kaya pilitin sila na mag-issue na, magbigay na ng dokumento dahil kailangan nang i-report po yung kaso ng examiner dahil yung time period na binigay sa examiner matatapos na. Kaya itong waiver of defense of prescription, parang justification ito na nag-over na doon sa number of days required to audit yung examiner. Kasi pag wala ito, ang gagawin ng examiner, magmamadali siya, ipasa na niya kaagad-agad yung kanyang report. So, based on the best evidence obtainable. So, sometimes detrimental sa taxpayer dahil napakalaki. Kasi allow sila, using the Cohen principle, na disallow 50% of the expenses because of failure to present the books of accounts and other supporting documents. So, ganun po yung nangyayari. And then, the intent and purpose of the waiver is to afford the examiner of internal revenue ample time to carefully consider the legal and or factual questions involved in the determination of the tax liability. Okay? So, the period stated herein may be extended by the subsequent waiver. Halimbawa naman, nag-waive ka, nag-sign ka ng waiver up to December 31, 2019 lang. Pero pagdating na bago dumating yung December na yan, 2019, alam mo hindi ka pa rin nakapag-submit. So, you sign another waiver para magkaroon na ulit ng extension. Otherwise, hindi papayag yung examiner na hindi ka pa mag-submit ng documents. No? And then, the period so stated herein may be extended by the subsequent waiver in accordance with the existing rules and regulations of the BIR. No? Say, executed this blank day of in, kung saan yan, lugar. Then, the taxpayer or duly authorized signatory, the position, the witness, and then accepted by Commissioner of Internal Revenue by revenue official or position, date, and then office. No? So, acknowledgement should be notarized. No? So, ano ang pinaka-importante dito na mga informasyon? Yung pangalan ng taxpayer and then the year under investigation or the tax liabilities for the year kung kailan siya under audit at ang kung sino yung mga pumipirma, no? So dapat yung mga authorized personnel. So nakita na po natin yung format po ng waiver, no? Waiver natin of the statute of limitation for in the prescription of tax case, no? So sabi po dito sa number 11, there is no strict format for the waiver and the taxpayer may utilize any form with no effect on its validity given the sparse requirements of RMO number 14-16, which meron na tayong illustration po kanina, yung actual mismo na waiver of the statute of limitations, no? So balikan po natin itong related na Revenue Memorandum Circular number 29-2012 dated June 29, 2012. Dito nakalagay yung iba pang mga requirements on the waiver of the defense of prescription under the statute of limitations, no? Ito clarification to kasi RMC, no, may Revenue Memorandum Circular, nagbibigay siya ng clarification, and then yung RMO naman, the procedure. So the provisions of RMO number 20-90 should be strictly complied with in order for a waiver to be valid. So meron palang mga requirements itong waiver of the statute of limitations dito sa RMO number 20-90. So lahat daw ng requirement dito po sa 20-90 dapat nasundan po natin yan sa paggawa natin ng waiver in order that the waiver can be valid. No? The waiver form prescribed in RMO number 20-19 should no longer be used as the same has been revised. Yung provisions lang ng RMO ang still existing, pero yung format ng waiver pinalitan na ng RDAW number 05-01. Revenue Memorandum Circular number 6-2005 dated February 2, 2005. Ano po ito? Linagay niya dito yung salient features of Supreme Court decision on waiver of the statute of limitations under the tax code. Kasi ang decision po, yung mga judicial decisions natin dito sa Pilipinas can also be a source of law. So, anong ginawa po dito sa case na to? Sinundan kung ano po yung gusto ng korte as to the format or kung ano yung content ng waiver of the statute of limitations. So, anong sinabi po dito? For the information and guidance of all internal revenue officers, employees, and others concerned, the following are the salient features of the decision of the Supreme Court in the case of Philippine Journalist Incorporated versus Commissioner of Internal Revenue, GR number 162852, promulgated on December 16, 2004. So ito pong sinasabi ng jurisprudence o ng court decisions. To wit, number 1, a waiver of the statute of limitations under the tax code must conform strictly with the provisions of the Revenue Memorandum Order number 20-90 in order to be valid and binding. So, in order to be valid and binding, ibig sabihin ng binding, meron siyang force between the two parties. No? Sino yung two parties na yan? The taxpayers and the government as represented by the BIR. Number 1, 1.1. Ano tong sinasabi niya must conform with the strictly with the provisions of Revenue Memorandum Order number 20-90. So, ito yung i-conform ng waiver. 1.1, the waiver must specify a definite agreed date between the BIR and the taxpayer within which the former may assess and collect revenue taxes. So, paalala lang po sa ating mga taxpayers, pag kayo po ay ni-require ng examiner na mag-sign ng waiver of the statute of limitations dahil sabi niya kulang pa yung mga dokumento mo and under audit ka. So pasign kanya ngayon ng waiver. Ang wag po kayong mag-sign ng open date na waiver. Nasabi niyo, kayo na lang po maglagay ng date yan, bahala na kayo. Kasi kung ilalagay niya dyan na 5 years, 3 years, hindi magpe-prescribe yung kaso mo, bound pa rin kayo, legally bound pa rin kayo na tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung investigation sa inyo, hindi pa matatapos. 1.2, the waiver must be accepted by the Commissioner of Internal Revenue or his duly authorized representative and the date of acceptance must be indicated. So, sino na ngayon yung pwedeng mag-accept under yung 141-2019 natin na binasa sa inyo kanina? Pwede na yung RDO at saka yung group supervisor. And 1.3, the taxpayer must be furnished a copy of the waiver accepted by the BAR. So, dapat po ang taxpayer may kopya. Kaya nga sinabi pa kanina sa mga previous na regulations natin, the taxpayer must retain a copy of the waiver. No? So, dapat may kopya siya. A waiver of the statute of limitations under the tax code to a certain extent is a derogation of the taxpayer's right to security against prolonged and unscrupulous investigations and must therefore be carefully and strictly construed. Ano po sabi ng korte? Kasi derogation ito ng rights, parang yung i-alter mo o bawasan mo yung rights ng taxpayer. Bakit? Kasi i-prolong mo yung investigation. So, dapat careful po sa paggawa ng waiver. At saka yung mga taxpayer, careful din po kayo na huwag kayong sign ng waiver. Kasi, during my stay in the BIR, at nakita kong kung gaano po talaga ka-importante ang waiver. No? Nakakatulong po yan sa extension doon sa pag-audit. Ngunit nung ako naman ay nagiging tax consultant na at merong mga kliyente ako, na ang sabi ko sa kanila, nagpo-protest tayo ng case, sabi ko, pag may pinaperma sa inyo na kung ano man dokumento, sabihin nyo muna sa akin at ako yung magde-decide kung pipirma kayo o hindi. Ngayon, nung pumunta ako ulit sa taxpayer, nagpirma na sila ng waiver. So, wala na. Tapos na yung usapan. Hindi pa matatapos yung investigation kasi nagpirma sila ng waiver. So, in that case, sabi ko dun sa kliyente, detrimental to sa rights ninyo as taxpayer. Kasi instead na matapos na natin sana yung kaso, tuloy pa. Kayo din ang apektado nito. No? So, instead na matatapos na sana yung kaso, tuloy-tuloy pa ang audit and investigation. No? Kasi magpe-prescribe na ang kaso. So, in-extend nyo pa. So, papatagal pa uli yung kaso. No? So, sa mga taxpayers natin yan, wag na wag po, basta-basta na lang magpirma ng waiver. At lalo na po, yung pinaka-mortal sin nyo dyan, pag nagpirma kayo ng open na waiver o yung walang date. So, lalo mapapatagal po yung investigation sa inyo. Number 3, a waiver of the statute of limitation is not a waiver of the right to invoke the defense of prescription. Tingnan nyo, ano sabi ng korte? Hindi siya waiver of the right to invoke the defense of prescription. Ano pala siya? It is an agreement between the taxpayer and the BIR that the period to issue an assessment and collect the taxes due is extended to a date certain. Kaya date certain, ibig sabihin, lagyan mo talaga ng date. Wag na wag po kayong pumirma ng open-dated na waiver. Number 4, a waiver of the statute of limitations is not a unilateral act by the taxpayer or the BIR, but it is a bilateral agreement between two parties. Kasi ang waiver po, the statute of limitation, hindi yan gawa lang ng taxpayer. No? Ang involved dyan, two parties. At sino yun? The BIR and the taxpayer. Kaya hindi yan nagagawa ang taxpayer na isang party lang ang benefited o yung may gusto. Pinag-usapan po yan at agree dyan ng two parties, which is the BIR and the taxpayer. No? Ano naman po itong Revenue Memorandum Order number 14-2016? Ito yung guidelines na for the execution of waivers from the defense of prescription, no? Pursuant to Section 222 of the National Internal Revenue Code. Ano naman to? Ang sabi po dito, the Commissioner of Internal Revenue or her duly authorized representative and the taxpayer or its authorized representative may agree in writing as to specific future date within which to collect from the taxpayer the assessed internal revenue taxes for a given taxable year. Kailan po isa-sign, permahan itong waiver of the statute of limitations? Before the expiration of the period to collect taxes. Why? Kasi pagka ang statute o yung waiver, pinirmahan mo, tapos na, expired na yung kaso, wala na pong visa ang waiver. No? Bakit? Bakit wala ng visa? Kasi prescribed na eh. Wala nang right ang gobyerno. Bakit ka pa magsasign ng waiver? No? Kaya careful tayo sa mga taxpayer. Hindi basta-basta nagsasign ng waiver of the statute of limitations. The waiver may be, but not necessarily in the form prescribed by RMO number 20-90 or RDAW number 05-01. The taxpayer's failure to follow the aforesaid forms does not invalidate the executed waiver. No? Kasi ini-invoke ng mga taxpayer na wala ng visa yung waiver, so hindi na sila dapat kolektahin dahil mali din yung form na paggawa nila. So, anong pong sabi ng revenue regulations na to? For as long as the following are complied with. Letter A, the waiver of the statute of limitation under section 222B and D shall be executed before the expirations of the period to assess or to collect taxes. The date of execution shall be specifically indicated in the waiver. Kung kailan pinirmahan yung waiver, dapat nakaspecify yung date. Why? Napaka-crucial po ng date. Bakit? Kasi dito sa waiver, ang pinag-uusapan dito yung time. So, since time ang pinag-uusapan, yung date na in-execute, pinirmahan yung waiver, counts. Why? Kasi, pagka pinirmahan mo yan at expired na, prescribed na yung kaso, wala na pong visa ang waiver. No? So, letter B, the waiver shall be signed by the taxpayer himself or his duly authorized representative. In the case of a corporation, the waiver must be signed by any of its responsible officials. Okay. So, authorized representative or responsible officials pag corporation. Letter C, the expiry date of the period agreed upon to assess, collect the tax after the regular 3-year period of prescription should be indicated. No? So, ano yun? Expiry date of the period agreed upon. So, halimbawa, yung case mo is 2016. So, kailan pinail yung 2016 mo na income tax return? April 15, 2017. So, kailan ka magka-count ng 3-year period para prescribe na yung right ng government to assess or to investigate your case? So, 3 years, magmula noong 2017, April 15, so nag-prescribe yung 2016 noong April 16, 2020. So, yung mga kaso po na 2016, hindi na po yan dapat iniimbestigahan ng BIR dahil prescribe na. Kailan hindi magpe-prescribe ang kaso? Kung may fraud o kung marami kang hindi dineclare sa inyong income tax return. In that case, 10 years po siya bago mag-prescribe upon date of discovery. Halimbawa, na-discover yan sa 2025. So, 2025, mag-expire yung right ng government sa 2035. So, ganun po mangyayari pagka-fraud. Pero kung wala naman, 3-year period lang po, expired na yung right ng government. No? So, the expiry date of the period agreed upon to assess, collect the tax after regular 3-year period of prescription should be indicated. Halimbawa, dun sa waiver ninyo, mag-prescribe siya ng 2020. Pero noong November 2020, 2019, no? Kasi magpe-prescribe na siya ng 2020 na April. Noong November 2019, pumirma ka ng waiver na ang 1 year na ang kaso mo magpe-prescribe ng November 2020. So, kahit dumating pa yung April 16, na sabi natin prescribe na yung kaso, since may waiver kang sinainan, up to November 2020. So, sa November 2020 pa, pwedeng mag-prescribe yung kaso mo. No? So, yun po yung mangyayari. Okay. Except for waiver of collection of taxes which shall indicate the particular taxes assessed, yung mga may assessment na, the waiver need not specify the particular taxes. So, hindi na kailangan ilagay mo pa yung tax type. No? Ang pwede mo lang daw ilagay, state mo lang na all internal revenue taxes. Sufficient lang po yan. No? And then, the taxpayer is not the applicant and the executor of the extension of the period of limitation for its benefit. In order to submit the required documents and accounting records, the taxpayer is charged with the burden of ensuring that the waivers of statute of limitations are validly executed by its authorized representative. So, dapat ang may responsibilidad talaga dyan na required na dapat valid yung waiver mo ay mismo yung taxpayer. Kasi, ang ginagawa ng mga taxpayers pa nakarating na sa korte yung kaso, kuni-question nila ang validity ng waiver na sila din ang may gawa. No? So, they are benefited doon sa kanilang pagkakamali, no? Na hindi dapat. No? So, the authority of the taxpayer's representative who participated in the conduct of audit or investigation shall not be there after contested to invalidate the waiver. No? So, hindi yung sinadya mo o kaya ginawa mo, minali mo yung waiver. Pagkatapos ngayon, ikaw rin ang magko-contest para invalidate. Parang ikaw yung gumawa ng mali, tapos ginamit mo pa yung mali in your favor. Wag ganon. No? So, the waiver may be notarized. However, it is sufficient that the waiver is in writing. Sinabi natin kasing maybe, hindi siya mandatory. Pwedeng notarized, pwedeng hindi. No? Considering that the waiver is a voluntary act of the taxpayer, the waiver shall take legal effect and be binding on the taxpayer upon its execution thereof. So, magiging binding lang po ang taxpayer, ang waiver with the bearer and taxpayer kung signed na ng taxpayer. Kasi, kung hindi pa siya signed, wala siyang effect. At pangalawa pa, kahit signed na siya, kung prescribed na or expired na yung 3-year period na sinasabi natin kanina na expiration ng right ng government to collect, wala pa na ring visa ang waiver. No? So, it shall be the duty of the taxpayer to submit its duly executed waiver to the Commissioner of Internal Revenue or officials. No? Anong sabi dito? Concerned Revenue District Officer or Group Supervisor as designated in the letter of authority. Ano ang ilalagay nila doon? Indicate the acceptance by signing the same. Sino yung mag-accept? The RDO or. So, kahit sino sa nila? The group supervisor. The waiver shall be executed and duly accepted prior to the expiration. So, pabalik-balik po tayo kanina pa, sinasabi, prior to the expiration of the period to assess or to collect. So, ibig sabihin, very important and very crucial po na bago mag-expire ang kaso, saka lang pwedeng permahan ang waiver. No? And then, ano yun? Taxpayer shall have the duty to retain copy of the accepted waiver. No? Okay. So, sabi ng memorandum na to, note that there are only 2 material dates that need to be present on the waiver. Ano yung mga material dates na yan? The date of execution of the waiver by the taxpayer and the expiry date of the period of the taxpayer na wini-waive niya yung statute of limitations. Ibig sabihin, hanggang kailan valid or pwedeng i-enforce yung waiver. No? May validity lang yan kung hanggang kailan. Kaya ang sabi ko nga sa inyo, wag na wag pumirma ng open na waiver. Ibig sabihin ng open, hindi nakalagay doon kung kailan magtapos ang right ng government, ma-expire yung waiver, no? So, before the expiration of the period set on the previously executed waiver, period earlier set may be extended by subsequent written waiver. So, ito na, nag-waive ka na hanggang November 2019. Kasi, in-anticipate mo, expired or prescribed na yung kaso mo, April 2020. Pagdating na ng January, February, malabo na matapos yung kaso. So, bago mag-expire ulit yung kaso, mag-waiver ka na naman ulit, no? Kasi yun ang mangyayari dahil hindi natatapos yung kaso. Ginagawa ng taxpayer, waive pa rin ng waive ng kanyang rights. Okay? So, I have discussed to you the waiver of the statute of prescription. So, ano po ang mahalaga doon? Yung date of execution at saka yung date ng validity kung hanggang kailan lang po matatapos yung ating waiver, no? So, thank you very much and please watch for more videos on tax training. And thank you also to our subscribers. Yung mga hindi pa nag-subscribe, please subscribe to our channel and we promise to bring you more important updates in taxation. The purpose of tax training is for you to have a better tax compliance. Thank you.